Hey everyone, welcome to episode number 10 of On One Inspiration. My name is Ryan Matias. So, I've written about this topic before, specifically working around and with obstacles. And it became fresh in my head again because over the weekend, this past weekend, I went to Little Zigzag Falls. And if you've ever visited it, you'll know what I mean. It's a trail with a beautiful creek that leads to Little Zigzag Falls, but the creek itself is littered with fallen tree branches and just a lot of obstacles. Now, this used to really turn me off, and I would just kind of avoid it. But as I've grown and I guess expanded my ability to photograph in the landscape environments, I've actually truly come to appreciate the challenge of working with obstacles. So I want to put this in your mind too. Next time you're out and there's something maybe in the way, instead of just abandoning it, figure out a way that you can incorporate the obstacles. So now let's turn to the computer and I'm going to walk you through how I edit one of my favorite photos from the shot. All right, so here's the image that I want to work on, and the reason why I like it is because of the compression that I got from using an 85mm prime lens. This was an A7R Mark II by Sony, as well as the Zeiss Bodice 85mm 1.8. And I particularly like kind of the leading lines here. You've got this tree trunk over here going through the frame and then one coming across. And for the most part, there's nothing I want to do to it in terms of like getting rid of things, but there are a few things I want to try. So to start, I'm going to select the retouch brush over here, which is the little band-aid. And I'm going to, in my experience, this works really well in spots. So instead of making a selection like that, which you can see yields kind of the pattern's broken, I just do these little spots here and I tend to get better results. And then for this part of the branch here, instead of using the retouch brush, I'm just going to take the clone stamp tool, drop the brush size a bit, source it from right here by hitting the Option or Alt key. So doing so, Option on Mac, Alt on PC will bring up the target. And this is telling the clone stamp where to start from. And here I'll just kind of draw and just kind of make the patterns a little bit different. So that's good there. Now it's time to actually, stylize the photo or work on the photo. The first thing I usually do is cropping and this kind of healing. Now that that's done, I'm going to start working on the photo. The reason why in On One, why I do the cropping and especially the healing or the cloning is because the layer is required to be kind of a standard layer. But when I start working with the modules like Enhance and Effects, I want to convert the layer into a smart layer. And so I can do that by clicking on the gear icon over here. Notice now when I click on the gear icon, you'll have it right here that indicates this is now a smart layer. But when you look at the tools on the left, they're grayed out. So you need to make sure the layer is first a regular layer. Do your cloning and all that other stuff, your healing, and then convert it to a smart layer. And I'll show you why. So the first thing I want to do is bring this photo into Enhance because I want to fix the tonality. It's kind of dark. Now, here's what's super important. If you're working on the tonality of the photo, you want to bring the histogram up because this gives you a clear graphical representation of the tone in your photo. And now it's just a matter of eyeballing it. So overall, I'm going to bring the exposure up a bit. I'm going to open up the shadows. I'm going to bring the white point over just a bit, and I can see that the highlights are getting really, really hot. So I'm going to take the highlight slider and drag that way down. So you can see now kind of the highlights have been restored. I'll bring it out a bit more there. The black point I'm going to bring out a bit, and shadows. Shadows are good. Contrast is good. And so to me, this is now a kind of an even flat photo. And if we hit the preview button, that's the preview here on and off. So that's, in my opinion, where Enhance shines, is that it's just, here's kind of a darker image, and I purposely underexposed it to get the appropriate shutter speed that I wanted. So there. This is, I knew in post I can fix it. It wasn't the difference in dynamic range between the original photo and this photo. I know that my raw files had more than enough room. So with that, I'm going to hit apply. I'm returning back to layers just to show you what a smart layer looks like. So here you can see this is the ON1 Enhance work. So we can turn it on and off. And then if I double click it, it brings me back into Enhance with all of the settings that I had. So you can always come back later on. You know, let's say you need more of your highlights brought back, or you need to open up the shadows even more. You can do it without having to start over. All right, so just cancel out of here. And now I'm going to go over to effects, and we're going to start kind of stylizing the photo. So first, as always, dynamic contrast. I don't care which video you watch, pretty much can guarantee that I'm going to do this. So for this example, I'm going to set the small, medium, and large sliders to 9. So I'm just hitting 9, tabbing over, and then hitting 9 again. And then I'm going to bring the opacity of this layer down to 50%, which is good right here. But I'm also going to bring out the vibrance, which adds a little bit of a color boost for this layer. And that is looking good. Maybe actually bring it back down a bit. All right, so now I'm going to hit add filter to add another filter. And we're going to go to photo filter. And photo filter tries to simulate some of the kind of old school filters that you would use, especially back in the film days. So here's like an 80A cooling filter, and you have warming filters. But for me, I'm going to simulate putting a green filter in front of the lens. So this is kind of the effect I'm going for. Now, the first thing I want to do is change the blending mode because I don't want it to have an actual green tint. So I'm going to select the gear icon right here, which opens up kind of the more advanced menu, and then change the blending mode from normal over to soft light. And at full strength, this is way too strong, so dial it back. So I'm going to bring it way back to like 30%, which is looking really good now. I'm actually kind of happy with the effect. However, what I don't want, and you're going to see this through all of the filters that we're going to apply, is I want to minimize the impact the filter has on highlights, because the highlights are really prominent in this photo. So you have this protect slider here. So what I'm going to do is, and look at the tooltip, reduce the filter effect from the highlights. Same thing for shadows. And then if there was a person here, it would reduce it from the skin tones. So I'm going to max this out. And that effectively removes or minimizes the presence of this effect from the highlights. And that's just fine by me. And then for the most part, everything is looking good. I'm going to bring the saturation out a bit. And I'm also going to bring the strength of this green color out a bit. So that's, yeah, everything here is looking good. Moving on, I'm going to hit add filter. And what I try to do, the way I add filters, is I start with the filters at the bottom are usually the ones that apply to the image globally and have usually some of the larger impact. So next is going to be sunshine. And this is mostly to kind of add I really like the contrast that's added. It's like this like soft contrast. I don't know how to explain it, but this is one of my favorite filters. Except that 100%, once again, it's way too strong. Oops, not that opacity. This is always important. This gray box here, unless you want to adjust the overall opacity of everything, don't touch it. You want to do the opacity on the individual filter, and I make that mistake every now and then, if I'm being honest. So about 40% here is looking good. And then just like before, let's open up the gear menu, which has the protect highlights. Boom. Open that up to the max. And then I'm also going to increase the warmth of this layer. Let's say about 20. That's fine. 23 is good. So that's what sunshine is. You can see here. Let's turn it off, turn it on. Minimal. Nothing in your face, but it just adds a nice touch to the photo. All right, next, glow. For forest scenes like this one, I love glow. And I'm going to take it stock, meaning I'm not going to change anything here, but I am going to drop the opacity way about half, which is looking good. And then just like before, gear icon, protect the highlights all the way. So that minimizes the presence of that. And then I'm also going to increase the warmth of this layer. So what's happening is the temperature of the glow effect is getting warmer. And I really like that. And pretty much it. Oh, you know what? I'm going to add a vignette. Last layer is a vignette. And here I'm going to bring the brightness down and then bring the size way down to bring it more towards the center and max out the feather. So the feather controls the transition. Watch, if I bring it to 0, there's no transition here. And so it's actually helpful to bring the feather to 0 when you want to visualize the vignette. So here, watch, if I adjust the roundness, let's say I want to make it less round, I can see that better. Or if I want to make it totally round, So here I'll make it more of an oval. The size is a bit too close to narrow, so I'm going to increase the size, and then I'm going to bring the feather all the way out. And then boom, there's your vignette. It's a bit too strong for me now that I'm thinking about it, so I'm going to decrease the strength a bit. Let me see the effect. Yeah, that's good. All right, so here is what we started with out of Enhance, and then with Effects. Just nice, this kind of a scene, natural, beautiful, using the distractions to work to my advantage, because this is a very, very busy branch. So with that, I'm going to hit apply, and I'm going to show you something. Just show you just how beneficial fixing the tonality of your photo is. So here again, here's the smart layer, our work in Effects, and below that, work in Enhance. So watch what happens. Let's say we never did anything in Enhance. I'm going to turn it off. So this is the photo, the original photo with the exact effects work done. And you can see what a major impact fixing the tonality has before you start stylizing. So this is really important. Turn it back on, and we have this kind of nice, evenly exposed photo. And that's just something that I think everyone should take away, is have a certain order to your workflow. So for me, it's the cropping and the healing and the cloning. Then it's fixing the tonality, and then it's applying the style. And then you should come out with something that you're really happy with. So with that, I want to thank you, as always, for your attention. I hope you found this episode, our 10th episode, fun, and I look forward to seeing you on episode 11. Bye-bye, everyone.